It's midnight and you're tuning into Nightline, the top stories. Italy trip cluster Widens, health DG urges all to be honest to frontliners. And SMEs call for government grants to help them rebuild businesses. Good morning, I'm Azaria Tagaya. The public must be honest if they have had close contact with those who have tested positive for the coronavirus, had travelled abroad previously or had attended large gatherings. Health Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said this when referring to the ministry having detected a cluster of 37 confirmed COVID-19 infections, 5 of whom have died, whose source of infection is an individual who had travelled to Italy recently.
Dia pelancong, dia pergi ke Itali, jadi balik dia menjangkiti seorang demi seorang ketiga generasi dan menjangkiti satu keluarga. Dan ada kes yang pertama tu yang di-discharge pada ward, walaupun dia positif tetapi menggunakan serologi protein negatif. Jadi bila negatif kita discharge pesakit tu, discharge ke rumah, balik rumah dan dijangkiti satu keluarga. Dan itulah yang kita nampak. Satu kes saja dia boleh menjangkiti sampai 37 orang dan ini menyebabkan kematian. Jadi adalah penting untuk kita untuk memberi maklumat kepada kementerian ataupun kepada healthcare workers yang berdepan dengan pesakit tersebut.
The health DG also said that the cluster linked to the patient included one critical case who is currently on ventilator support. Giving an update on the COVID-19 situation in the country, the health DG said 179 new cases were reported, with the total number of positive cases standing at 3,662. 4 more patients succumbed to the disease on Sunday, bringing the total number of deaths to 61. And at the intensive care unit ICU, 99 patients are being treated, of which 48 are on ventilators. Chief Justice Tan Sri Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat has urged lower court judges to use their discretion in imposing sentence against offenders who flout the Movement Control Order MCO, bearing in mind the risk of the COVID-19 virus being spread in prisons. As such, the Office of the Chief Registrar of the Federal Court has informed all magistrates and Sessions Court judges to also consider the problem of overcrowding in jails. The office said in a statement on Sunday that apart from considering sentences provided under existing laws, the risk of the COVID-19 being spread in prisons must also be taken into account. The statement confirmed that the judiciary had received a letter from Prisons Director General Datuk Sri Zulkifli Omar, who had proposed that judges utilise the Offenders Compulsory Attendance Act 1954 to order MCO offenders to do compulsory community work instead of sending them to jail. The Prisons Director General said that records have shown that up to April 1st, a total of 378 offenders were sentenced to jail for defying the MCO. He said in addition to increasing congestion at prisons, the Prisons Department is concerned that new inmates might be the cause of spreading COVID-19 in view that their health status is unknown. Datuk Sri Zulkifli also said the Prisons Department is of the opinion that it would be a major problem if a COVID-19 outbreak occurred in prisons, particularly when it's not possible for social distancing to be enforced there. The Prisons Department would suggest that offenders who defy the MCO be sentenced to the social work order under the Offenders Compulsory Attendance Act 1954, where they are sentenced to community service rather than a prison sentence. He also said that this law has been carried out by the Prisons Department since 2010. Meanwhile, the government will look into the Prisons Department's proposal to not jail violators of the Movement Control Order MCO over health concerns. National Security Council Senior Minister for Security Cluster, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said the issue of imprisonment of those violating the MCO needs to be resolved soon.
Mesyuarat telah bersetuju hari ini supaya pihak peguam negara, pihak PDRM dan penjara untuk membincangkan isu ini supaya dapat diselesaikan dengan segera.
He said the decision was made during the Special Ministerial Committee on MCO's meeting on Sunday. Dato' Sri Ismail also revealed that the number of offenders defying the MCO is decreasing. He said there was an 11% decrease in arrests on Saturday compared to the day before. The minister added that the army was also assisting the police by deploying drones to monitor movements in certain areas such as markets. Now, the Movement Control Order MCO has entered its second phase and evidently the compliance rate is getting better. Nevertheless, a small percentage of people are still adamantly violating the MCO, hence putting themselves and others at greater risk. Our correspondent in Pulau Pinang, Selvam Arjanam, shares his observations.
The MCO compliance rate in Pulau Pinang is almost 95%. As a journalist on the ground every day since March 18, I am privileged to observe the 5% MCO violators. Most of them can be traced at various roadblocks by the security personnel. In an hour of observation at a roadblock, I have seen at least 10 vehicles ordered to make the U-turn and return. For the security staff, they are getting used to hearing ridiculous reasons from motorists, and that include those from Seberang Perai crossing the Penang Bridge just to fulfill the nasi kandar craving. Also, traveling more than 20 kilometers to get a loaf of bread, and commuting from Bayan Lepas to Georgetown to shop at favorite market. I have managed to have pep talks with the security personnel manning the roadblocks, and let me tell you this, they can go on and on how the violators are making creative excuses day by day to find ways to come out of the house, and even some faking letter from employers to pass through the roadblocks. I am too rather unfortunate to witness the police arresting youngsters playing football, the elders jogging, and those getting drunk at the roadside. Apart from them, market goers are another big chunk of adamant people. Even on Sunday, I came across two individuals together on motorbikes and in cars or walking, minus the social distancing to the markets. Some even brought along their family members and children. The social distancing is only practiced when there is someone watching them. Otherwise, it is conveniently forgotten. I, as ordinary layman, indeed understand the difficulty of staying at home, and that's for almost 20 days now. But are they not fearful of the COVID-19 pandemic? Or the least, the fear of possible arrest and hauling up in court, which could mean prison time or fine. And just a day earlier, I embarked on chopper ride with the Pulau Pinang Police Chief, Datuk Sahabuddin Abdul Manan, to get bird's eye view on the traffic situation. As for the police, they appeared satisfied with the current compliance level, but then again, stressed on necessity to improve further. The frontliners and essential workers are battling hard for us every single day. The government is doing its very best. The NGOs are fighting for the noble cause, and most of the Malaysians are staying at home obediently to break the infection chain. Yet, the remaining ones are still stubbornly wandering around with silly and nonsense excuses. The vital question is, are we willing to pay the price by prolonging this quarantine period beyond 14 April, even after witnessing the people and the economy are taking a big hit? You have the answer. From Georgetown, this is Selvam Arjunan for Nightline, TV3.
UNIMAS develops hand sanitizers and face shields to curb shortage of supply. This and more news when we return. Thanks for staying with us. Researchers at University Malaysia Sarawak UNIMAS are helping to alleviate the shortage of essential supply for frontliners. The university's Research Innovation and Enterprise Centre, RIEC, has revealed that its researchers are developing their own hand sanitizers and face shields, as well as intubation boxes. The hand sanitizers, which are in short supply in the market, were developed by the Faculty of Resource Science and Technology researchers. In the initial stages, it will be given to frontliners who are most in need of the supply.
Sehingga kini penyelidik UNIMAS telah berjaya mengeluarkan lebih dari 800 botol hand sanitizers hasil dari sumbangan dana penyelidikan UNIMAS.
While the face shields have been developed by researchers from the Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology using the university's 3D printers. Also in production are intubation boxes to be supplied to Hospital Umum Sarawak HUS. Small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, which employ about 65% of the nation's workforce, are seriously under threat due to the COVID-19 outbreak. Although 100 billion ringgit was allocated to support businesses, especially the SMEs, as part of the Prihatin Rakyat Economic Stimulus Package announced recently by Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, President of SME Association Datuk Michael Kang said business entrepreneurs should not rely heavily on the government's assistance. Azrin Abrar has the details.
The SME, we hope that the SME themselves should seriously look into their own business. Is that viable? Will we be able to continue and put more innovative and into their business? We hope that the SME can change their mindset and should not rely too much on government assistance. SME should have their own way and find a solution to generate more income for their operation and to survive this crisis. SME facing the challenges, especially on the cash flow, when there is no income for the SME, and we hope that the government can assist the SME on subsidy of the salary, wages, and include the operating expenditures plus the special loan for the SME. And this is very important. On the simulations, the economy side, we hope that the government can waive all the income tax and also plus waive the SST for the next few months. This is very important for the SME to reduce their burdens on things that we hope that the government can seriously look into it and assist the SME to make the SME business continue to operate.
The internet was immediately abuzz with all sorts of reactions from entrepreneurs when the Prihatin Rakyat Stimulus Package announcement was made. Some companies were reported to have collapsed due to the outbreak, while some are beginning to stare at the real possibility of going bust soon. For SMEs in the service industry, it's not a matter of surviving anymore, but more of rebuilding the businesses. CEO of AKA Balloons, Sendirian Berhad, the company behind the Hot Air Balloon Fiesta, a yearly event in Putrajaya for the past 11 years, said the outbreak has directly impacted its income flow.
With no income flow for the next few months, we are struggling to meet our fixed expenses, and then of course salaries. As you know, the government is giving certain amount of incentive, but it is definitely not sufficient for us to sustain for the next 3 months to 1 year.
Another service industry that is badly affected by the spread of COVID-19 is the tourism industry. Chief Executive Officer of Malaysia Convention and Exhibition Bureau, Datuk Sri Abdul Khani Daud, said businesses in the industry, especially travelling agencies, have been severely affected due to cancellations of flights and trips. He stressed that travelling agencies nationwide have to also look at ways to mitigate the impact even months after the outbreak subsides.
There are not
a giant company that will have a lot of fun to sustain for a couple of months of years, but they may be very much depending on the business that they're getting every month or every day, and also some of them or most of them also depending on loan by the bank. So, of course, the government already gave them moratorium, 6-month moratorium on their loans, but with no business coming in for that particular period, it may make them decide to lay off some of their staff. In fact, currently some of the travel agents already cut salaries, some of their staff up to 40% in order to keep them afloat.
Aside from sharing predicaments, these industry players have some suggestions that they want the government to consider, including providing grants and their monthly commitments.
For the EPF, as an employer, we are still expected to contribute. Yes, we can opt for a deferment payment plan. However, we've got to remember, it means that we still have to pay this contribution for our staff later on. So either you take the hit now or you have to do it later. It is possible for us to get a time off from paying the KWSP to contribute to this. That would give a big help. Taxation, where there can be a more flexible payment terms by the government to both corporate and businesses, and also for personal tax.
So the government should really look into this sector immediately in providing assistance, especially probably grant from a special fund created, as well as create a training program for the staff so that we would be able to maintain them within industry. Tourism industry has around 3.5 million of provided employees or job opportunities whenever we need them again after the COVID-19 are over.
After gaining feedback from stakeholders, the Finance Ministry is refining a special stimulus package for the SMEs to ease their current difficulties, and is expected to be announced next week. Many SMEs have cash flow on hand that could last them 1 month or maybe 2. Some of them even face shutdown, and this is exactly why they desperately plead for assistance. The government's refined stimulus package to be unveiled by the Prime Minister will certainly not deny the importance of SMEs, but that at the same time prioritise efforts to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic. Azrin Abra for Nightline TV3.
The first phase of the Bantuan Prihatin Nasional BPN Payouts will be credited to accounts starting Monday to Wednesday, April 15th. Bank Simpanan Nasional BSN, which has been entrusted to manage the BPN Payouts, in a statement said recipients may withdraw the sum from automated teller machines ATMs under the MEPS network nationwide, adding that the government has exempted the RM1 cash withdrawal fee at all ATMs throughout the Movement Control Order MCO. The bank advised recipients to ensure social distancing of at least 1 meter when performing banking transactions at any MEPS ATMs and BSN branch counters, and to visit the BSN counter only if it is necessary. It added that several BSN branches are not operating at the moment following the COVID-19 outbreak. However, BSN ATMs are operating as usual. In Kedah, a boat with 203 Rohingya refugees on board reached the shore of Pantai Teluk Nibong in Langkawi at about 5 a.m. on Sunday. They were seen on board the boat near the area before swimming to the shore. A nearby villager at Kampung Kuala Triang alerted the police and the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency (MMEA). The refugees consist of 49 men, 45 women and 5 children. According to Kedah Immigration Director Zuhair Jamaluddin, the refugees will be repatriated once the MCO period is over. This is due to the situation at the State Immigration Detention Centre, which has exceeded its capacity. This is the second such incident in Langkawi, with the previous involving 252 Rohingya refugees. Still to come on Nightline, Spain's death toll from COVID-19 rises by 674. Stay with us. On to the foreign news now. The rate of the new coronavirus infections and deaths in Spain has slowed again on Sunday as the country, suffering from one of the world's worst outbreaks of the pandemic, began its fourth week under a near-total lockdown. According to the Health Ministry, deaths from the highly infectious COVID-19 respiratory disease rose to 12,418 on Saturday, the second highest worldwide after Italy. The toll of 674 people who died during the past 24 hours, however, was down from Saturday's 809 and well below Thursday's daily record of 950. Sunday's rise represented a 6% increase in total deaths, about half the rate reported a week ago. The total number of registered infections, meanwhile, rose to 130,759 from Saturday's 124,736. Indonesia has ordered its citizens to wear face masks when going outside as the number of COVID-19 infections rise to 2,273 on Sunday. The country reported 181 new cases, while the death toll rose by 7 to 198. The Health Ministry said the people are required to wear cloth face masks as many asymptomatic cases were found there, while surgical masks and N95 masks were only for medical workers. Following the announcement, public transportation in Jakarta has made it a requirement for passengers to use face masks while on board. Tokyo has confirmed at least 143 new COVID-19 cases on Sunday, again breaking the record for the most seen in the capital in a single day. The figure puts the total in Tokyo over 1,000, heaping more pressure on Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to declare a state of emergency to curb the rapid spread of the virus. Sunday's tally follows 118 cases reported in Tokyo on Saturday, the first time the daily figure had topped 100. The Chinese mainland has reported 30 new confirmed COVID-19 cases on Saturday, of which 25 were imported. According to the National Health Commission on Sunday, the 5 new domestic cases were reported in Guangdong province. Also on Saturday, 3 deaths, all in Hubei province, and 11 new suspected cases, all imported ones, were reported on the mainland. Ecuador's Vice President Otto Sannenholzner has apologized after scores of bodies were left on the streets of Guayaquil as the COVID-19 ravages the horror-struck port city. Local authorities collected at least 150 corpses from the streets and homes earlier this week, but did not confirm how many of the dead were victims of the outbreak. Ecuador had recorded nearly 3,500 confirmed COVID-19 cases as of Sunday, including 172 deaths. Germany's confirmed coronavirus infections rose by 5,936 in the past 24 hours to 91,714 on Sunday, the third straight drop in the daily rate of new cases. Sunday's figure amounted to a drop of 146 cases compared with 6,082 new infections recorded on Saturday, itself a fall from 6,174 new infections on Friday. The reported death toll, meanwhile, rose by 184 to 1,342. Now let's take a look at what has been installed on the front pages of Malaysia's main newspapers for Monday, April 6th. The New Straits Times highlights areas in Sabah that are not infected by COVID-19. While the country's top-selling Malay daily, Harian Metro talks to a few COVID-19 victims who are from the Tablik cluster. Berita Harian focuses on the government's promise to all Malaysians that the food supply will be adequate. And a report on Khazanah Nasional's pledge to help MAB takes the front page of the Malaysian Reserve. Be among the first to get your copies today. And that's all for Nightline this time around. Now, the Nightline team would like to take this opportunity to thank all the medical officers, nurses, the frontliners who've been working tirelessly in combating COVID-19. To all our viewers, please help all the frontliners by staying at home and by practicing the preventive measures. The frontliners have families too. I'm Azara Tagaya. Stay home and stay safe.